Oh yeah, super awesome, great riding almond gun. 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 Oh yeah, super awesome, great riding almond gun.
Welcome to Music Production Amino's feedback stream number 10. I am the guild leader, and today with us we have Blayhub and Radium.
Hello.
This is the stream where we share our feedback on your music to help you gain a new perspective. We do this every Friday, same time, and if you would like your track on stream, look for the featured post in the community and come back next Friday. Cool. Thanks everyone in the chat for joining us, and thanks as always, Blay and Radium, for being here. So, how many songs we got today, Blay?
We got 6 songs, including Purelemon's track from last week that we couldn't do at the end because we were taking too long with our feedback.
No, it's cool that we carried it over.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, shall we just jump right in?
Yeah.
Other than that, I guess I could share a quick bit of news. Just as always, just tune back every Monday for our battles on stream, and we then every Friday for this. So more news after the stream.
All right. All right. So our first track is going to be Purelemon from last week, with the track "Let's Go on a Date." Have fun.
Nice.
All right. That was "Let's Go on a Date" by Purelemon. All right.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Shall we first say that Radium is here with
Yes.
us, but she will be typing in her feedback at first,
Yes,
and
for
she
now.
may jump in.
She may jump in, yeah.
She's multitasking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to say that I really, really, really like this track. I think this might be my new favorite track by you, Purelemon. I think I said that about your funky track that you submitted that one time. I believe it was like a funky disco track that you said, and I really like. But I was telling Blade while we were listening that I'm finally realizing that Purelemon really much has own style going on.
Yeah.
And to hear this, I don't have anything negative really to say. I really, really liked it. It was just, I feel like it's in its genre that it belongs. I mean, it's good for the genre that it belongs in, or whatever that genre may be. What are you thinking, Blay?
I feel the same way. It's really hard for me to criticize this because I think it's really it's just really well made. I like the melodies. I like the harmony. It's really cute. I like the sounds. It's all very fitting. There's nothing like standing out or like
the mix is good.
Yeah, nothing feels like out of place or something like that. It just all sort of works, and I like your ideas. I like the modulation. Even it works in this case. I'm always a bit weird about that. I hate modulation in so many things, but I think it works.
Same.
I think it works all right here. Maybe not the most creative way into transitioning into it, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Like it works.
Yeah,
it's just
not necessary. But it works.
It's not like, oh yeah, now that I need it. It's more like, okay, you could do that, you know. Yeah. In terms of criticism, I don't really have anything. Just just keep doing more and keep experimenting more and also try different things. There's always more you can do, and I think in this time it's just something that we can't really criticize, but it's something that you have to criticize by yourself in terms of what do you want to make, where do you want to go from here. Because one of the feedback streams are nice. We're giving feedback and tips, and you can learn a bit. But the most important thing you can do is criticize your own work. You got to be your. We talked about this in the PvP thing because I was acting like a dick there, acting. Yeah, no, but I said there that I'm very critical of myself, and there are days where I'm literally just ripping apart everything I made and sort of like scrapping a bunch of things I did. Not scrapping them, but like, I'm done with those. Let's move on. And you got to do that. You got to go through that, and it can be hard, but if there's a critic out there that's being really nasty to you, be more nasty to yourself, and that dude can just fuck off, you know, because you'll know where your own feedback is, your own criticism is coming from, and you know that's actually going to improve you. So be your own biggest critic, and that's the best way to improve on something where everyone's saying like, oh yeah, this is fine, this is nice, and stuff like that, you know, because there's always more. There's always more you can improve. Because if you get stuck on this style, in a couple of days, maybe we'll say, okay, we get it now, but isn't there something else you could make, you know? So that's why it's important to always sort of keep moving and never like sort of feeling like, oh, this is home now. I've arrived. I've learned enough. I can make this style of music now. You know, it's never enough. Just keep on moving, or you'll get stuck.
I'm thinking a lot with Purelemon style, though. What's neat about it is not just so many styles are determined by the rhythm and the drums used and the patterns and the BPM and all that stuff. But what's neat about Purelemon style, I think they'd be able to like do any BPM and any rhythm, and with the same sound design and the same like creative mind, it's still going to have that Purelemon sound, which is neat. So you can be very creative and very freedom, oh, I'm going to do an upbeat, up tempo, really fast song. I'm going to do a really slow song. I'm going to do a down tempo, or I'm going to do a mid tempo, all that stuff. But it's the sounds Purelemon chooses and the way it's mixed and all that. That's is very unique in itself. You know, it doesn't sound like Purelemon's trying to copy anyone as much as maybe just Purelemon's favorite artist, not really trying to copy the mainstream. You know what I mean? But Radium is typing in her message still. I keep looking over to see if she's done typing, but she has not. So stalling for time. Good job, Purelemon. I'm now even more excited to hear more of your music. Like I said, I really liked one of your other songs. It's like a funky song you submitted. Got me excited to hear something new, and you didn't let me down with this one. It was really nice. Yeah. So still waiting on Radium's feedback.
Radium hates it, and should start over.
But so while she's typing, again, if you're just getting here, you can submit your songs for next week. In the community, we feature a post every week. It's usually a yellow picture. It says feedback on it. We have no plans on changing the picture anytime soon, but it's going to be feedback stream number 11. There's going to be a submission form in the middle of the form. You just click on it and submit your track. And then next Friday, oh wow, here she is.
All right.
Do you want to read it, Blake?
Yeah, I can read it. All right.
Thanks.
Radium's feedback. I'll start with, I'm just going to read it how it is. I'm not going to translate the I'll and me because that's just confusing. So, I'm Radium
So, Blaze Radium now.
Yes, let me... T. I'll start with the positives. The song is good, it's interesting to listen to, and it's catchy. The instrument choice works with the genre and overall kawaii sound I think Lemon likes to go for. Oh, that was one sentence. I'm sorry. I could see it being used as a soundtrack for an indie Japanese video game, like a dating sim or some cute little thing. Here's the negatives.
Yeah.
It's repetitive. It's too repetitive. Oh, I actually agree. I got tired of listening to it after the first minute because it never switched up. There's no substance. There's no change in instrumentation or anything. It's just the same thing over and over again. I also think it can only be used as a soundtrack and not necessarily a standalone song, because its repetitiveness, along with its lack of substance, makes it, in my opinion, impossible to entertain someone outside of a context where you're not focused on the song. There's a punctuation there, Radium. Yeah. That's Radium's. Radium's feedback.
Proofreading Radium's.
Yeah.
This is great. No, so Radium did have some negative things, which is
yes,
good. We were just all positive. But.
Yeah, actually, I agree with a lot of that about the repetitiveness. I think I sort of ignored some of the standalone song kind of thing because I just assumed it's like intended for something like a game just because of how it's made.
Or within that kawaii fandom, this is just what they want to listen to while they're hanging out and driving around their car still. It's good.
No, but yeah, I think in terms of that, it works perfectly fine. I guess that's why I'm not having a problem with it. I don't think I really saw it as like, oh, this is a song you just like listen to it. It works perfectly fine for a game or soundtrack environment, something like that, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It could work for both, and because the genre is a popular genre for like a niche, it's one of those niche genres, much like lo-fi hip hop and then the kawaii stuff, and then all these different niche genres, subgenres. That if you're an enthusiast of that genre, you're going to listen to it all the time, no matter where you are. But outside of that, we're just like, oh, that'd be great in a video game. I would not listen to that outside of a video game. But if I was playing a video game, that would be great, or whatever. It might be a soundtrack for a anime or whatever. But I thought it definitely had that sound, like it was a soundtrack thing, even from a classic game.
Yeah.
But that's what I meant by if Purelemon's goal was to do that. Purelemon did a great job executing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
I didn't really see it as anything else necessarily.
Right.
Like for me, it's just like this is for a game.
Yeah, I can see it. I get that now. Yeah, it really, really, very much was just so reminded me so much of just so many games.
I mean, it's nice. It's nice.
Of a game. Yeah.
It's nice. I'd enjoy this. I'd enjoy this quite a bit if it's in
with
some
a very modern
scene.
Mix. I believe. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can totally see this in like some like Radium said, some like more story driven sort of like a role play game sort of thing. I can totally see like some dialogue boxes at the bottom and stuff. You have the music playing and something, with a bit of sound design and environmental noise around the thing,
Exactly.
I can totally see that work, because it would also it's good for looping, maybe except for the modulation that would make it a bit more difficult to loop, but you could loop it. You could easily make it loopable, which is always good for game soundtracks. They always want looping tracks because they gotta just it's perfect for that. It just can sit in the background. It just keeps on. It just
they can loop it, and even to the
it's setting the mood, setting the scene.
Right, for sure. It definitely comes with a vibe and made. And even much so when you're using it for soundtracks, they don't even have to use they don't have to use the whole thing at all times. The repetitiveness kind of goes away when the fact that you're being distracted by everything else that's going on in the story and the game or whatever it may be. And sometimes it just comes in a quiet, whatever it might, or just plays through. But if you're fighting bad guys, the repetitiveness kind of gets drowned into the background.
Yeah, that's the thing about the repetitiveness. Once it's in that sort of setting, there's no real repetitiveness. Or let's say that the tracks have to be made in a way where you sort of don't really it's music that doesn't have elements in it where you could easily tell this is looping again now, so it's something that sort of just keeps going like an endless piece of music,
Which like games do. Every level pretty much has its own song. It doesn't really switch necessarily.
I mean, there are differences. There are differences. For one, there's different techniques that you could use to program a game to have music. Because there's obviously the simple way, which is just start the music and it ends, or like fades out if the scene transitions or something. That's the simple way. But there are different, really interesting ways where you. One way is to have music that actually changes as you play. So music where you have, again, several ways to do it, but one way, for example, that I think is really nice, works, basically think of track stems fading, playing synchronized, and only certain parts of certain stems being faded in and back out, depending on what you do. It's a really interesting.
On the scene or
so basically you have like the you have just think you have chords. Think you have chords playing, and then you keep moving in the world, and you get to a section where whatever is, and only the drums fade and the bass maybe and something, and when you leave the location again, it fades away again. That's a shitty example, but there are many different ways like this, and completely different, and even things like splicing tracks together, and sort of like sampled instruments, adding tails to specific moments in the music, so music cues, where the music naturally transitions into another piece or it fades out. Which is all really interesting stuff for game music development, basically, where you're not just composing and stuff, but also having to figure out how to basically not program, but create music in a way that it's sort of dynamically changing with with the game. That's really interesting. Techniques.
That would be interesting. What Purelemon's like end goal is, if it's to perform this stuff, DJ this stuff, or submit it to games or release games or whatever. I never know. Some people just like to produce a track just for this very reason, just to post it online. But you never know. Cool, but all in all, very good job, Purelemon. I am now even more excited to hear your next track, and that's good. So, shall we move on to the next?
Yeah. Let's move on. All right. Our next track is the MPA Leader remix by Fox of Galaxy. Have fun.
I don't have a song ready today, so take this remix of MPA Leaders. Made in a minute or less. Wow. That was bad. Oh yeah, the last song I submitted is for a game that I'm making. Anyways, I'm Fox of Mem, Fox of Stu, Fox of Rodla, Fox of Muse, Fox of Kitten, Fox of Chairs, Fox of Galaxy, and I'm going to do music things.
That was
bad.
I don't even know what this is, sorry. I'm just kind of lost.
To be honest, to be perfectly honest, I hate you, Fox of Galaxy. I hope you spill your milk when you eat your cereal.
All right.
I think is honestly.
Yeah. What? All right. Okay. That was the A Leader remix by Fox of Galaxy. Sorry. No warning. Just cut off. I forgot to tell you that it was ending. All right.
No worries. Cool. I mean, I know you got some stuff to say about it, but I'm honestly gonna say this is probably my favorite track I've heard from you, Fox of Galaxy, and I'm gonna tell you why. I mean, I know you done some pretty cool stuff for sure. I've always said you have a little bit a mixing. You need to work on your mixing and your production, and just overall like little details that make you sound more professional. This one being that it was kind of more minimal and there was more space in the mix, it really it was easier to listen to, put it that way. But what I liked was that 8-bit sounding downsampled bass you were using. It just sounded really like, I don't know, it was cool. And then besides the fact that you used our samples, that was kind of funny or whatever. But just the track alone was probably one of my favorite tracks I've heard from you. And I think even at the end, like the kick drum was mixed very well and the bass was mixed very well. And it wasn't as distorted and like smashing the limiter sound that a lot of your tracks usually have. Seemed like it was a little cleaner mix, but that was probably because it was less in the mix. But if I was to say negative stuff, I mean, honestly, it just like a lot of your tracks, I think they could be polished a little bit more. And I would again say this is probably the best I've heard of yours as far as polish, the kick drum and everything being mixed well with the sidechain and all the volumes and the spatial and the stereo dynamics and everything. And then there's still being room for that main bass to breathe. So it's not just this being washed out by other sounds. I'd say that it's still better than your others. So you're going in the right direction with this one. But again, I don't know when you made this and stuff like that. So I don't know. I liked it. I actually really liked it compared to a lot of your other tracks. Just that compared to your other tracks, I really liked it. So, what do you think, Blake?
Right. Yeah, in comparison to your other tracks, it's actually kind of difficult for me to judge the quality because I sort of hear, I guess the mixing is different, but I sort of hear the same sort of ideas over and over again. And I'm a bit disappointed because it seems like our feedback, or maybe not all of our feedbacks, but so some of the feedback sort of seems to, go over your head, which of course you don't have to do what we're saying. Just I think I'm starting to feel like you're not even really hearing what we're saying. So for me, it's you've submitted a couple of times in a row now, and I'm sort of hearing the same sort of ideas and same sort of patterns over and over again. And I don't really see you experimenting or going out of your comfort zone with that. And I mean, you said that you took like under a minute to make it, which I'm gonna doubt because you still gotta like arrange it and stuff, and like it takes some time to even load up the DAW. So you got probably just like 40 seconds left to do that, and like export it, which is another like, I don't know, 10
Let's
seconds.
have speed challenges. Let's have speed production challenges.
We can do that, yeah, but I doubt that in 30 seconds you arranged it. I mean, if you did, it's sort of similar to your other, it's sort of similar to the other things you submitted to the feedback stream. So that's not, it's telling me a bit about the effort you put into these, which that's a mean thing to say, but you said it yourself. You try to submit to these a lot. For this, you said in the beginning with your text-to-speech thing, which I've criticized in the past because I'm sort of like, I know what text-to-speech sounds like, and it can be utilized quite well if you do it right. It can work and be nice. I just think in this case, maybe try something different. But you said with the text-to-speech thing, basically that I think something along the lines of, this time you didn't make anything for this week, so you made this thing, and we're not forcing you to submit to these. And I just wonder if maybe, if you leave out a week, work really hard on something you like, really work on, put effort into, work on that for a week, and then submit that. Submit something actual, something real, something you really worked on, and something you really poured your heart and soul into. Because I want to hear something that you actually put effort into and that you actually like really care about, that goes beyond the sort of meme thing, you know. Because they're funny for a while, then it's, you know, I want to hear what you actually do and what you're actually capable of. And then we hear the PvP things, where we get to actually hear your sort of more serious, but your your actual music. And I feel like I want to give you feedback there more than on the feedback stream. And there it's old stuff you made, and when it's new stuff, I sort of see the same patterns, and that's just sort of sad. And I think you're sort of I just think I want to hear something high effort, something new, something recent, something you're working on, something that's maybe on the verge of being finished, that you actually care about, like really care about and want to release properly. Because I'm sort of tired giving feedback to these jokey things, because I don't even know what I'm even criticizing, because I can make joke songs in a couple of minutes too, and I don't care about them. And you know, it's nice if people give me tips for it, but I didn't really care, so I'm not going to utilize them for the next thing, because the next thing is not going to be like that. And also, you know, if I don't care about it, I don't care about it. It's not like I'm going to improve on the jokes I make, you know? Not in that sense. Just
I get what you're saying, Blake.
just something to think about. Like, it's
It's
fine.
definitely something to think about. I'm gonna honestly say though, I mean, because I know Radium's got a mixed message thing here too. She says love to Fox the Galaxy. We're not trying to roast you, Fox the Galaxy. I see both sides of this. I actually like people having a good time, but I see Blaze's side.
No, I'm
Blake
not
takes
saying
this
you can't
very
have.
seriously.
I'm not saying you can't be having a good time.
With
I'm
the
just
music,
saying
of course.
I'm just saying sometimes, you know. I'm just asking, you know, if I make a jokey song, a song, no, not thong, what the fuck? When I make a jokey song, I still put in some effort, you know, or just effort, you know. And I just wonder, could you make a good joke, a joke that's actually like, you know, where actually something's happening, where it's like we can still appreciate it musically, not just for the joke.
That point, yeah, something that you spend more than 1 minute on or whatever. Yeah, I get, like I said, I get both sides. I'm not taking a side. I'm saying that, to your point, if you're, we would like people to be submitting tracks that they really want some feedback on to fill the time that we only do 6 tracks during this time or whatever. So if it's just a quick joke to fill this, like Blake said, you don't have to submit something. But that being said, it was kind of paying tribute to us. That's why he used our vocal samples. So I am flattered.
Sure.
I think it's cool. Very fun, and Arcestic did it first, and I think it kind of following, and it's just neat. But and to Kit Sun's point here, I do believe that this song did slap. I think it's one of the best mixed songs that he's done, and it wasn't washed out by the overly just too many sounds and too much distortion like a lot of Fox Galaxy stuff has. This one was a little bit cleaner, and it kind of showed off his. He's using like 8-bit style bit crush basses for the dubstepy rhythm stuff, which is kind of cool. But yeah, please submit something that you spend a lot of time on. That'd be we're take it a little bit more seriously, and then I think you get a little bit better feedback. And now let's jump over to Radium's.
Yeah. All right. So Radium's, is she still typing? I don't know if the feedback is all done yet. What do you think, Geld? Should we start?
She's got a little disclaimer here. It says Fox. I'll read the disclaimer.
But I'm not sure if the actual review is done yet. You know.
She's the.
Or is that it?
She's typing a little bit.
Yeah. That's why I sort of want to wait.
She's still typing her main feedback.
I think there's something more.
Interesting.
Yeah. I just want to. I just want to clarify that I have nothing against jokes or like fun music, like joke music. I have nothing against it. I think it's fun. I just think in this case there isn't that much. I love jokey songs. They're funny and stuff. They're nice. I think they're nice, but there are some joke songs that I really love because I can appreciate them beyond the level of that's a funny thing, because when you add like good music to it, to the joke, and you keep the core of the joke but make it musically interesting, then it's actually great, and you can get more out of it from listening to it. Just a recommendation. I think Charles Cornell or something like that. He's a pianist, a musician on YouTube. Look him up. He's funny. He made all those basically jazz improvisation over vines and stuff like that. It's joke music, but there's interesting music. It's really interesting what he does with the harmony, and he actually recently released a video, uploaded a video, I think it was yesterday or today, or a couple of days ago, where he said the same thing. It's the same joke. So I'm not doing them as frequently anymore. And that's sort of where I'm coming from here. It's fun and stuff, but there's always more you could do with it, even with jokes, and I think you're not really exploring that. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
All right, I think Radium's done with her feedback, so all right. Here's it's me, Radium again. Fox of Galaxy is going to get a roast. I'm all for songs meant to be funny and comical, but that doesn't mean I will squash my usual bluntness. As you listen to my feedback, know that you are loved, Fox of Galaxy. Know that you're loved, Fox of Galaxy. I should read ahead. All right, now for my Radium's feedback. Because of this song, I know what a computer vomiting sounds like. Thank you.
Good.
More seriously, if you want serious feedback, it felt very simple with not much effort in it, which is a bit disappointing because I know you're talented and can do good things, even if the song is meant to be funny. All right, that's Radium's feedback, and
yeah, I think I agree heavily with both of y'all. I like the idea of funny music, but I don't like the idea of people like joking around with the fact that they didn't spend much time mixing quality, because we are a music production quality, and it's painful for us to listen to stuff that's not mixed, at least quality wise and stuff like that. So if you're joking around with like smashing the limiter 6 degrees above the threshold just to be loud and stuff, at that point there's going to be it's not going to be funny anymore. But using our samples and our vocal samples is funny, I think. So yeah, I agree more with Belay Hub for sure on this. All right, let's move on to the next.
All right. The next track is going to be My One and Only Love by Miro Lutz. Have fun. All right. That was My One and Only Love by Miro Lutz. All right. I just want to mention something really quick. Miro said that on YouTube the quality is really suffering in the mix, which unfortunately is something we don't really have control over because YouTube is limiting audio streaming to 128 mbit for MP3 audio. It doesn't go higher even with higher latency, which is something we maybe can look into changing streaming platforms. But yeah, YouTube really doesn't care about audio on these, which is very disappointing. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Something we
But
can't
in
really...
context of the other songs that we've heard today, it's still very, very, very nice track, I think. Mixed very well. And yeah, I think
Yes,
Miro's
yes.
going to hear it more than any of us, the difference between the original and stuff. But people are used to hearing things on SoundCloud. I mean, YouTube. So we eventually kind of get like trained to hear the quality of YouTube, and we kind of overlook the things that Miro might be like, oh no, it doesn't sound right. Because anyways, I have nothing but positive things to say about this. This is a really, really good track. I mean, what does it say here in the notes? So the saxophone was played by...
Yeah, I wanted to mention that too.
Yeah, read that. What did he say?
Oh, you can mention it if you want.
Okay, track. It says, oh, I got it. Track notes, saxophone was done by his dad, and arrangement was in production was done by him. That is cool. That is fun.
Yeah.
That's cool. And your dad is a phenomenal player, and you're a phenomenal
the
producer.
saxophone improvisation was by Viljem Lutz, which is his dad, and yes, arrangement production by Miro.
Miro
Yeah,
Lutz.
and good that Miro mentions it. I would have forgot to. This is a jazz standard, so he didn't write the song. It's a jazz standard, pretty well known one too.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really more about the arrangement. So
and the playing and the performance itself and stuff. Quality. I really liked it. I mean, I'd listen to this again and again and again. I liked the kick drum. It was very it was mixed very modernly. Like it had a lot of oomph to it, and it really carried the track. It balances the track. I mean, bass and the kick is so important to balance the track for a modern mix. Is what I'm always listening to, and the bass too. The bass and the kick work so well in this. I love how the bass even had like the stereo imaging effect. Like every once in a while, the note would hit, and you'd hear that it was a little over on the left side, and then you had a lot of cymbals over on the right side. There was only, I mean, you had a lot of sounds that were very much over on one side versus the other more. And I love that kind of stereo imaging because, as you know, and as you probably did it for, it makes it sound like there's multiple people in a room sitting around each other playing from different spots of the room, and that's a really good way to mix. And I just loved it. I loved the sound. It was very balanced, and it's just stuff, you know, I'd listen to again and again.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice. I thought the mix was really nice. I maybe want to make one suggestion in terms of the production terms, because obviously the solo, the sax solo, is really, really nice. The saxophone. And what's sort of difficult for me is that for me it doesn't really match in that well with the drums, for example, and mainly the piano actually. For one specific reason, which you might be surprised about, because it's not the mix, it's not the stereo imaging, it's nothing like that. Nothing about quality or anything. It's actually the human factor. I think you should try to put a bit more humanization into the MIDI parts of your production. So what I like to do usually is how I use MIDI programming is by shifting around, sort of working off grid with my MIDI notation. And especially when I'm putting down chords, sometimes I'll make them so they don't trigger on the exact same thing, you know? So they get a bit more spread out, just ever so slightly, you know, which does a lot already, and also work a bit with the dynamics and the velocity control in those. I think you did a bit of that, in terms of velocity. But I think judging from what I could hear in here listening to it, it felt a bit like you were sort of leaving the node start and end points alone, or like leaving them on grid for some of it, which I just work on that a bit, make it feel more human, because you can sort of hear that one part is digital and one part is actually human, and it's a kind of weird contrast that I felt a bit weird about. Let's say it like that, yeah. Especially the drums, I think they could use a bit more exaggerated velocity settings for individual notes. Also, I thought the brushed snare drum felt a bit too far out on the right speaker. Well, headphones. I'm listening to this on headphones. I'm gonna listen to it again on my monitors later on. But maybe if just the drums were a bit narrower or just in a different position, or maybe something on the left a bit more spread out to balance it out, because the brush was constantly like tickling in my right ear. It's a bit funny. No big critique points though. It's just some minor things that you could work on a bit more maybe. But other than that, I thought it was really nice. Like what your dad did. Yeah. Should we just get to Radium's?
Yeah. I was gonna mention that's got to be fun to be able to jam with your dad. I mean, I tried to teach my dad how to play the guitar, and he gave up pretty quick. Anyway, go ahead. Let's read Radium.
Also, I'm just gonna because Miro mentioned something in chat. So it's a work in progress, of course. I'm gonna message you later, and I'm gonna listen to it again in my studio. Because right now I'm in my temporary not temporary, but my side setup. Because in my studio right now I can't record my voice, which is embarrassing. I know. Don't mention it. But I'm working on that. All right. Okay. So here's Radium's feedback. So, Radium's feedback goes as follows. I've got nothing to say for the saxophone playing. Very smooth. Your dad is talented. As much as I want to say that this track is amazing, I want to point out the simplicity of the piano. I know that in this genre, the focus has to be on a certain instrument, in that case the saxophone, but I think the piano could have benefited from its own little unique stuff, variation in the playing, arpeggios, etc. All of that without taking away from the saxophone. Same with the drums. The track was very linear. Could have switched up the arrangement a little, or could have had maybe improvisation in one of those parts. Overall, it's a good track, and I agree that the vibe is very New York noir detective work vibe, just too linear. And yeah, I think that actually flows hand in hand with my criticism of humanizing the elements more. And yeah, I think also the drums and maybe some improvisation parts in the piano could make this a bit more exciting. So you always got to think with this sort of thing, which is what I'm doing again for orchestral music, or even not orchestral, but smaller ensembles, or even jazz stuff, which I do occasionally, which is think yourself in the position of the individual player and think that you're playing this right now, and you're improvising. This is you now. You're playing. You're programming, but think that you're programming, and basically program in your improvisation, and you'll have a much nicer feel if you think from the perspective of each individual musician, because then they'll sort of start to live on their own and actually feel human, because then they are human, they're you know. So that's what I try to do with my music, and that's sort of how I humanize things. It's not just randomly dragging things around, but actually improvising, actually interpreting the stuff I'm working on, basically, per person, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Very nice. Cool. Shall we move on to the next?
Yeah. All right. The next track is going to be Flame of Spain by Etesky. Sorry. My screen was in the way. Flame of Spain by Etesky. Have fun. All right, that was Flame of Spain by Etesky. A different track than usual,
Right.
which is refreshing. Though I have nothing against the soundtrack stuff he submits usually. Um, Flame of
Right.
Spain, Spain of Flame. I almost said, Flame of Spain by Etesky. I don't know what I said before, but Flame of Spain.
Spain of Flame. I really liked it. I don't know. I'm always I'm always gonna just jump back in and like as soon as we come back say, "Oh, it's awesome," but I always wait for Blay to like kind of
This is
to,
amazing.
to lead us back in. But yeah, I really liked it. This is another one I got really excited about listening to, and it's, I like all your stuff. I'm not gonna say this is my favorite, but what's nice about this is it's so much different than your other stuff. Now I have like much like my favorite artists, I can go to different tracks to really find this, like some really good stuff. So I mean, so just that you're like one of my favorite artists at this point. Yeah, I really like your music, and always go back to what Retrograde said once about just when we listen to your music, it really just takes us on a journey. It takes us out of where we're at, and takes. I just feel like I was like very much in the flames of Spain while I was listening to your song. When it got down to like the end, where you really heard the bass or whatever it was playing as a bass, and it kind of broke down to like a little bass little part. I wouldn't call it a solo as much as like a bass breakdown. That was awesome. Nothing really. As I've said before, I really, if I like the song, it's really hard for me to critique it at all, because at some point it's like a threshold. Once you go past that threshold, everything I consider is your creative choice, and it's your like I look at your as like, oh, brilliant, and everything you choose, even if you would have messed up, I'm like, oh, he's brilliant. He chose to mess up there. Like, it's a great song. I really liked it. So good job, Etesky.
It's supposed to sound bad.
right. Right.
No. Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice that you're trying different things, and it's a really nice vibe overall. I like the feeling you captured. It really does feel sort of like some. Yeah, I think the title is quite nice actually. I mean, maybe I want to talk about the Flame of Spain part actually, but I do get some like Spanish sort of vibes from it though. Though I must say it's something I'd expect to hear when the director tells the soundtrack composer, "Oh, make something that's like in Spain and stuff." It's yeah, because if you listen to traditional Spanish music, obviously there are certain elements in this. I don't know how much research you've gone into, but there's quite a bit of interesting traditional Spanish music that is very different from sort of what you'd expect, which still has some familiar elements like we hear in this. There in terms of melody and harmony, there's some interesting stuff there. Though this is not saying like this isn't accurate or anything. It works, certainly works. One thing I'm a bit one thing I want to say is though it's nice that you're doing some different things. Though I think you sort of I mean, it's nice that you're experimenting and sort of even when you're doing a different style, you try to implement some other elements you usually do, like the choir you added, the sort of
Oh yeah.
epic percussion stuff you added, which is sort of my where my complaints start to come in now, because I keep talking about rhythm and the self-percussion, like the sort of epic percussion, and it's the same. I'm gonna go into the same critique as I usually do, which is I think I'm still waiting for a track that really doesn't need percussion at all, and that you don't plan to have percussion for, and that you don't use percussion for at all, because I think it's holding you back, because I'm hearing the same sort of ideas again in terms of percussion and in terms of rhythm. I think it was a bit different, but I could hear sort of the same ideas in the percussion, even just in terms of the instruments you chose, which I didn't necessarily feel out of place. Just I think, rhythmically, I was expecting a bit more from the guitar, which is the next part I want to go into, which is the Flame of Spain. I didn't really totally get those flame elements. They were in there, like near the end. I'd say it got a bit hotter and a bit more exciting. But overall, it felt rather calm, and I was expecting it to like really burst into flames and engulf you in this fire of the hot sun in Spain and dancing and stuff like that, which didn't really happen, which is a bit disappointing. So like it was sort of like leading up
Maybe
to
more
that.
maracas. You should have added some maracas stuff. Really picked up the energy maybe
It's
towards the end
just
or something.
yeah, just a couple of like
Sometimes the titles is when it's that far into interpretation. When it comes to titles, it really is like you know. I mean, it's valid points you're making, Blay, for sure. But at the same time, maybe that you know, depending on the story, you know, say Etesky scored an entire movie and it's all has a lot of his traditional sounds that he uses, but there was a scene where they went to Spain and that was just the music you heard, so it's still like tied to all the other music, but then it had a Spanish flair to it. You know, it could still it's like to say I wanted it to be hotter is kind of the director's choice at that point to be like, oh, we need more flames, which is fine. You know, as a music director, you can even be like, oh, it needs to be more, it needs to get a little hotter, and that could have been done in different ways. So I mean, again, I'd be curious what Etesky was considering to be the flame of the song. I'd almost say something like some of the trail, like the Spanish little trails that did match up kind of with the drums sometimes and stuff. But I don't know. I really don't know what could have made the track hotter.
yeah, I think what would have made it harder for me is if the guitar did more interesting things, because when I think of similar music to this, especially with something with that title and obviously those feelings there, I'd expect the guitar to do some more exciting things, and it sort of did that at the end quite a bit with the tremolo bits and stuff, which, and you know, this might be some limitations of the software instruments as well. So the virtual instruments, they might have been some limitation. Yeah, I see Etesky is responding a bit to the percussion not being not being epic and stuff, and that is specific for a Spanish vibe. Not really sure what you mean, but it's the first of all, the drums you chose, they're probably what you have available, and they just don't really work for me in that context. You know, just the sound itself. The rhythm, yeah, it works. Though again, if you could, you know, sort of staying sort of safe with your percussion. You always have a lot of percussion, meaning you have it in your music a lot, but it's not always really doing that much, you know, which is sort of what I get the most frustrated over. It's not that you're using percussion in and of itself, but more that it's not really being utilized to its fullest potential, and sort of loses its impact it could have. Percussion has a great impact if you use it carefully, but if it's just constantly there, like think of like a timpani. Timpani, one of my favorite percussive instruments. Also awesome for using more melodically, depending on what you do, of course. But they have a really insane effect. But if you use them constantly, they lose that effect. So when you then get to the big moment, and the timpani rolls and whatever, and they hit hard on stuff, you know, they're not doing that much anymore because you got used to the sound. So if you keep it down, if you keep it low, and if you change up the percussive instruments themselves, you know, they get more exciting. So when I use a triangle, for example, you know, it's like a joke. Oh, they don't know, they don't have much to do and be a triangle player because it's simple and stuff like that. Which, you know, silly jokes and stuff, you know. But there's a reason for that. First of all, it's super annoying if it would be there all the time. You know, there are pieces there that use a triangle a lot, of course. But, you know, if you think of a piece where it's the typical one triangle note at the end, that's such an insane moment always, depending on the piece.
Right.
But it's just so amazing. I listened, I went to a concert in Frankfurt the Mariinsky Theater with Gergiev was insane, and they played oh, I forgot what it was, so embarrassing, but it was one movement out of a big piece, a big orchestra piece, really amazing, and at the end. Was building up, and it was grand and big, and then there was a triangle coming in. It was such a great moment. If it would have been there the whole time, it wouldn't have come close. You know, because you get tired of it, you get used to it.
So when you say a lot of times, and I'm guessing this is probably very well known in your genre and stuff, but the drums should be used more.
Use percussion carefully. No, with this sort of vibe.
Yeah, like accenting the instruments and like giving them extra texture here and there. And then when a straight rhythm comes in, which is appropriate sometimes, but it acts that which you call like a backbeat, you know what I mean? Then for a little while. But you're saying to keep it exciting, you would kind of switch up the drum sounds themselves a little bit more, and then kind of play back and forth between like a driving beat, and then go like more into like where the drums are just kind of sparse and accenting.
Yeah, I want to add, of course, that for this specific style of music, you'd often have a more steady, continuous rhythm sort of going on, you know, which of course it is fine.
Right.
It's just I'm gonna have to keep mentioning it because I'd be totally fine with it if it's like a stylistic choice for this track. It's just you do it in every track, and that's why I'm trying to push you, and I keep trying to push you to experiment without a rhythm, not without a rhythm, not without rhythm, but without percussion, because I just think it's holding you back. Percussion easily makes things feel a bit more together and a bit more exciting, maybe, and a bit more moving a bit more. And when you remove the percussion, then sometimes the piece starts to feel really, really weak and boring. And that's sort of the danger you're going into if you always sort of rely on that effect of percussion. So that's why I'm trying to suggest to you to really make a piece that doesn't rely on percussion. So where you really don't have any percussion, or flip it around where it's not, you have a middle part where there's where the percussion goes away for a moment, but where you maybe have one part where there's a bit of percussion used tastefully and intentionally, and the rest of it just works without it, because there's a lot you can do without percussion. Yeah. So yeah. You know, I'm not. I'm just giving you some suggestions, and I think there's a bit of limitation from the virtual instruments you have. Even more reason to experiment, which is you're experimenting, of course. But I'm just getting the vibes that you're sort of falling back to old habits, sort of, you know. And I just, yeah. I'd encourage you to experiment in the ways that I've expressed.
For sure. I agree. And I mean, I think the Spanish flair being quite different than a lot of your stuff, but being that you still have a lot of experimenting you can do outside of, you know, taking the Spanish as one direction and then going another direction with no drums stuff, just another whole direction. And like I was just kind of mentioning and teasing, you could make a track just for this, just for Blay to satisfy what he's talking about, and it will challenge you and it will help you grow. So good job, though.
It wouldn't be for me. It would be only for you, for yourself. You know, because you'll learn from it. You'll learn so much from it.
For sure.
No, I just want to say, I'm not saying it's a bad track or anything. It sounds fine. It sounds nice. I just think, for me, it sort of what I'd expect from sort of a more background music in a movie, in a story, sort of thing, where it would work just fine. But for listening, sort of like on its own, I think there's just could be more interesting stuff happening. So for me, it's sort of like setting the vibes for an story sort of happening while listening to it, instead of the piece itself telling a story. but
And we'll,
you know, that's totally fine.
and Radium is she unfortunately missed the track. She's
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
she's preoccupied doing multitasking stuff. So we will skip it and we'll move on to the next track.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, the next track, and again, no hard feelings or anything, you know. All right, the next track is going to be NightFall, future bass remix. I don't know of what. By Kitsune Power. He didn't leave us a note, so I don't know what this is a remix of. Maybe on his own track. I don't know. NightFall future bass remix by Kitsune Power. Have fun.
I guess I'll see you again when the night falls. I guess I'll see you again when the night falls.
All right, that was Nightfall by Kitsune Power. So this is a remix of one of his older tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think,
It's,
Gelden, Radium, who's still in the
I thought
chat?
it was well, it was refreshing because I mean, I've mentioned it multiple times on stream that I like the halftime stuff. And by that I mean like the cut time, halftime stuff. You know, the down tempo stuff. You know, the future bass, trap, and dubstep rhythms. So I really liked that. That was refreshing to hear that coming from you, and I think you executed it pretty well. I mean, it's another one of those genres that it's overproduced, so your competition is high. The bar is set pretty high in any of these genres like that because it's really just about
Overproduced, you mean sort of overdone, done a lot?
overdone where to be perfect. And when these
Yeah.
producers, because a lot of the top name producers that are in these genres, they're really competing with each other. Like, oh, how loud can you get it? How, without going over true peak, how great thick can you get that super saw without phase problems? How you know, how perfect can you get every little element? Is really the way this music kind of goes. So when you hear something that's just a nice melody and a nice job, but it's not produced at that level, it stands out. You're like, okay, it's cool, you're doing everything, but you're not producing at that level. But that being said, Kitsune Power, I've given you that same feedback on some of your other tracks too, and I think you are improving. I think your mixes are getting wider, clearer. Things are finding their own. It doesn't seem to be as washed out by all the element. So I think you're improving. And if it's anything like what I did, it took from just years of creating songs before like I started getting the ear for what I'm talking about, considered to be like a decent mix. You know, I'm not saying my mixes are perfect or anything, but I have an ear and a taste for a certain style of mix, and I think you're going in that direction. So that being said, the negative would be the vocals. Again, I think this is a remix of one of your own songs, and I think we have heard this before. The vocals are neat. The lyrics are cool, and they do have a little passion to them, but they're just not mixed right, and they're very just drowned out in the mix, and they're not pitched, like you're not singing like perfect as it could be.
Yeah, I think
So-
the quality of the vocals, the quality of the vocals starts to deteriorate even in the recording process. So they're recorded in what seems to be sort of a more dampened way, which might be one of the reasons for why it's not working so well in the mix. Even in the parts that are intentionally dampened, I don't mean in the parts that are intentionally dampened or filtered, would be the appropriate term here, I think. But yeah, I'd agree. I think it starts with the actual recording, which is of course the vocal performance, which is probably older because it's a remix of a track we heard before, or we criticized the vocals themselves. But I think the mixing, as Gilt mentioned, could and should be improved as well. And I think maybe very light tuning could maybe help it a bit, but it's not going to fix messy vocals. So maybe, I don't know, maybe try to re-record them even.
Re-record the vocals or do some heavy vocal effects processing to take it to a creative. I know Blaze never.
Yeah.
I would say I
mean,
would take it to a point where it's like auto harmonizers and you're spacing it out and it sounds like some futuristic robot. But that's taking it to another whole realm. It's called save bad quality vocal.
Yeah. Like the photographers turning their pictures black and white when they don't want to deal with coloring them properly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which the reason why I mentioned that is if anyone has listened to my music, it's what I do a lot to my music is extreme vocal processing and effects and crazy out of the box thing. But it's because that's a stylistic choice. Now you would have to make that choice and be like, okay, I'm gonna think, or go the other direction and re-record it and just try to get a really, really good take of yourself singing this, where it sounds soulful, sounds clean. You got a good room with no echo or whatever on a good microphone. Double it and maybe add some ad libs and just really fill it out and show off the quality of your vocals without any effects. You know what I mean? So there's two ways you can go with it, or just find the right balance. But vocals would probably need to be redone. He's saying this is a remix of an old song and the stems are old, so of course a lot of that wasn't going to change. He was just remixing his old song, but still, just going forward and just overall feedback on the track.
I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think yeah, I think mainly to me at least, the vocals stand out to be the part that matches the least. And I think what you said about I think the most important thing to take away from this is actually that the sort of style is done quite a bit, and there's a lot of competition you have to go up against. So even for me, I'm not that familiar with a lot of EDM sort of stuff, though I do listen to some of it, and even in my like a bit of time that I sometimes listen to, I heard a lot that is similar in and of itself, and then this doesn't really add a lot to it. So this doesn't stand out at all. So yeah, I mean, this is the first time you're making future bass as a genre. You said that in the chat, uh, which is fair, and I think probably works. I'm not too familiar with the genre, as some people might be or will be, because I'm not. But yeah, I think Miro's suggestion about sort of listening to other music in that genre, and maybe more well-known stuff too, could maybe help you a bit to get more inspiration for that sort of style. But I think, yeah, there's sort of competition you're up against, so you should try to find your own unique sound in that. And I think there's sort of interesting things you could do with it, because the style is pretty basic at its core. I mean, every style is pretty basic at its core in terms of what is sort of defining the genre, but that leaves for interpretation, that leaves for your own uniqueness, and I think that's just what's lacking mainly, is the uniqueness. Which, of course, if it's an experiment, yeah. But the straight up issues are the vocals, of course. They need work. And some of the other mixing, and also the synths, they do seem a bit, they seem a bit safe and simple. And I feel like that's something Miro also suggested just then in the chat, is a way to make them sound a bit better and a bit more saturated. Yeah.
Right.
A couple of suggestions there, great suggestions in the chat. You should try those, but also try to give it sort of your own touch. I think also in terms of harmony and melody, just in terms of writing, in terms of composition, there's a lot you could do with this and figure out. It just sort of stays really basic and really simple, and you could do, just do more with it.
Right. I agree. Radium is about to send us hers, I believe.
Yeah. I tried to sort of flesh out my feedback.
I know. I'm all looking at everything. I'm looking at the clock. I'm looking at her typing. I'm looking at the chat and everything. I'm just like, time is just right. But just kind of summarizing what we were kind of saying ultimately is that it's neat because you're going in a direction of improvement, but there's still a lot you can do to improve. And also, if you were to just take the vocals out of this, it'd probably save a lot of it as far as if you wanted to like just keep it as like something separate. But re-recording the vocals would probably, if you wanted to redo this, I'd say re-record the vocals. But I want to hear you do more stuff like this down tempo stuff for sure. And future bass is very formulaic, sort of, but actually future bass as a whole is still very much in a stage where the most creative top producers can take it into a new direction. Future bass is not washed out. It's not overplayed yet. Like there's a lot of future bass stuff yet, but the overall genre of what future bass is still free to go outside of its traditional what you've heard so far by, because Marshmallow sounds very different than like Aluminum or whatever his name is, and that sounds very different than Seven Lions, and his stuff sounds very different than Adventure Club. So those are all future bass style artists, but they all sound very different from each other. And I'm just saying, like, you have a lot of room to still be your own future bass artist if that's what you want to do. This is more just the experiment, I'm guessing. Radium, come on!
Yeah, we're waiting for you, Radium.
Just
Type
start hitting
faster.
She's like auto checking her spelling and like correcting the punctuation, sends it to it. But
Yeah.
my ego. Okay, she's got a lot.
Interesting cover art. Oh, there's the feedback. Okay. Here we go. Radium's feedback. This was a very nice surprise from you, Kitsune. For some context, I wasn't really paying attention while the song was playing. Oh, it's never a good sign. And I didn't know it was yours until I looked up from what I was doing and saw your name. I didn't expect this track to have been made by you. It sounds 1,000 times better than tracks you've done before. I'm genuinely impressed. The instrument choices really work well together. I enjoyed how the vocals were used. They usually added substance to the track without sounding out of place. I'm getting small Chainsmokers vibes too. Now for the negatives. The song still follows the usual blueprints of songs of this genre. Not a bad thing, but it's important not to make it a habit and experiment in different arrangements. The vocals needed some work, texture underneath all the effects put on them. Can't speak for the mixing, not my expertise. Overall, I could see this or something similar on the radio, and I wouldn't change the station. Wow. It's a good track, and I recommend you go down that musical path and genre. I think you're starting to find your niche, and that's very, very good. I'll be keeping an eye on your progression, on your progress. All right.
Right, that's good
Radium
feedback.
likes a track. What? No.
Well,
that's...
she said she didn't hate it. She does. It was kind of yeah. She would have changed it, but to Kitson asking in the thing, is it a failed experiment? I would say no because of Radium's feedback.
Yeah,
it's not a failed experiment. I would say even what I said, you got to really listen to everything we're saying. Don't just hear the negative. I said you're moving in the right direction, and that's all any of us can want to do as an artist, as long as we're improving with every track and everything and stuff like that. So better and better and better and better.
Yeah, and I think that's something to take away from this too. Because you said on stream that you were just messing around and you weren't trying to be unique and howdy, you were just rambling and finding excuses for yourself. But I think what Radium said shows that our feedback wasn't for nothing. Because I think too it's a path you're sort of starting to figure out and find. So if now you do take note of our feedback a bit and make things a bit more unique, find your own sort of sound and style in that genre, then you're gonna make some interesting stuff. So yeah,
for sure. Cool. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but that was your vocals, right, in the song? So if you're still trying to pursue the whole singing route, you got to keep doing that.
I believe those were Kitsune's vocals.
I'm not a singer, but I've always pictured what it would be like to be a singer, and I would be capturing vocal samples all the time. I get in the studio and just sing, capture it all, make sample packs out of your vocals, modulate where you have to and stuff, like with effects. But continue to try to improve your singing, not just your production too. So do the whole package.
Go back to the first stream, or like one of the first streams we did with this track on it, or one other track, I don't know what it was. Take the vocals and singing suggestions from Radium from there, and then mix it with our suggestions from today for the overall track stuff, and work with that and try to improve on those things we suggest, and then you'll be on your way, and I can't wait to hear the next thing you make.
For sure.
It's really exciting. All right. Should we move on to our final track for today?
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it.
So, the final track is going to be Fall Season Theme by Ark. Have fun. All right. That was Fall Season Theme by Ark. What did you think, Geld?
I thought it was a little short because I was really getting into it for a second there. But I always like Ark stuff too. I don't think we've ever really talked in the community, but from everything I can remember, what I've heard of Arks, I'm a big fan. This just being so short, I'm not going to have much feedback. I liked where it was going. I wish it was longer and a little bit more hashed out and told a little bit longer story. But it was full. The mixing was well. The kick drum was a little weird because not that it was bad. It was more of like a stylistic choice. But the kick drum had no high transient at all, so it was just like this dull little thud. But that could very well just been what you were going for. Outside of that, it got me excited, and then it was over. So, no feedback. And if Granddad, you're still here, we didn't see a track from you.
Yeah.
Metro's asking. So,
yeah, we didn't.
So if we'll do it next week. So, but
yeah, we can do
what'd you
next week.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
All right,
What'd
back
you think
to
about
Ark's track. Yeah, so I just want to read the notes Ark left us because it's quite a bit of an interesting story. So this song was bought by Max for a game called Delusion. No wait, No, yeah. Okay. What? Am I reading that wrong?
Let me read. I didn't read them. Let's see here.
No, I think it. No, yeah, it's got to be Delusion. Okay. All right. It was originally for a client who commissioned Ark to do the track, but they didn't show up again. That's interesting, and that does happen sometimes, which is really sad. That's sort of. Are you gonna experience a lot of? And you probably have already experienced quite a bit of weird client stories. I do too, and it's really, really annoying. I actually have a story just like that where someone commissioned a piece of me, and they had a really nice production going on. It was for a 2D animation. Really exciting. Was a nice little short film, like a short 3-minute short film. Really nice. Made a nice score for it. Really happy with it. And then they didn't respond, and now it's past. Was like a year ago, and they stopped messaging me, and I can't get in touch with them. So I don't even know if they ever released the released animation. I mean, I got paid and stuff, but sort of shows you that payment isn't everything, because got a bit of money and stuff, but it's just money. Your work is just sort of
really
in limbo.
working.
Yeah, your work's just stuck in limbo. So
I can relate to that for sure.
I mean, of course, it's incredibly important to get paid too, because you gotta live, you gotta breathe, and eat and sleep. It's weird, I know, but you gotta afford all those things, and afford equipment too and stuff like that to sustain your work, of course. So getting payment is really nice. Though, of course, if your stuff doesn't get published, then you also have a bit less publicity for yourself. It doesn't get your work isn't being heard a lot. So setting it to someone else is a really good way of sort of taking a revenge on that. So sort of going against shitty clients that never return, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. If it's a really specific thing that works for needs a bit of reworking. So I think it's good that you chose to open this up and put it on sale, basically for someone else to use for their thing, which is honestly the best way to handle this sort of thing, because it's just really unfair by the client who commissioned you, and I don't understand these people. I hope they paid you, unless it was free work, which I did too, a lot actually. And it's usually with the non-paying clients that they they shit on you and just leave you hanging, and you don't know what's going on. Happens quite a bit. Happens even with paid stuff. You'd be surprised how many things in Hollywood get scrapped even when they're mid-production. Some executive producer comes in and says, "Oh no, we're canceling this. We don't have enough funds. We think this isn't going to work, and stop your work." It's insane. It's really sad, actually. Some productions even get as close as to editing phase. But that's, stuff happens. It sucks. So I can totally feel your pain. But it's really great that you found a way to still do something with this, because it was a really nice idea, really nice theme. I'm rambling quite a bit about this.
No, you're fine. What do you think of it? I mean, we've got time now, but I mean, what do you think of the song overall?
Yeah.
I mean, just
I think it's a really nice idea, really nice mood setter, so to say. It's setting the mood quite well. I have got a couple of issues with the harmony in some places. So, like, you have like this really basic chord progression, and it's the third chord and sequence that I'm taking a bit of an issue with. It's the sort of like a basic thing people go to where you could do different things. So you're sort of moving around the intervals, just moving around the chord without changing the intervals, and I think that's the part where I could give it a different feel. I think it's a bit repetitive, which is something I'm sort of starting to notice in your work. I really like the things you're making. I like this one as well. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sort of starting to see a sort of pattern with sort of repetitiveness within those. Which, of course, this was a soundtrack for. Wait, hold on. For a client, I don't know what it was for, but I'm guessing it was for something similar, like a game or a scene in a animation or movie or something. So I can see why maybe it was intentionally done a more repetitive way, even like we said before, for stuff like looping in a game, stuff like that. So this might be a bit silly feedback, but I'd like to hear something that's a bit more complex and a bit more fleshed out in terms of richness of ideas and going through different themes within one piece, instead of a piece that's capturing only one sort of idea. But again, it's client work, so all that matters is that the client is happy. But yeah, these are just some minor suggestions I'll give you. Yeah, wasn't the best suggestion about the one chord that felt out of place for me, because that's obviously something that's up to you. I just like to hear something that's a bit more complex, a bit more challenging for the listener, a bit more unexpected, a bit more out of everyone's comfort zone, so to say, making the music more interesting. I'd like to hear something like that from you. But yeah, I thought it was really nice.
Yeah. We had a nice mix today. I mean, overall, a lot of good music today.
Do you want me to read Radium's feedback real quick?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because we got one in. All right, so here's Radium's feedback now. Okay, Radium's feedback. I see why it's short, if it's meant to be a soundtrack or a theme. It's interesting to listen to, but I couldn't get into it. Then again, if it's just meant to be be the soundtrack for a game, it's not a negative. Being into the music of a game is a plus, not a requirement, in my opinion. Yeah, I'd agree. I recommend that you humanize the instruments, especially the piano that plays at the beginning. It sounded fake, or like a beginner pianist playing on an electric keyboard. I also recommend you avoid abrupt endings, especially on songs that short, is too brutal and sudden, and transitions add transitions, make it go quieter and quieter, and not abrupt endings. Yeah, I'd agree with all of that. Yeah, I'd agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. It was that's what threw me off. That's why I mentioned so much about it being short. Because if it was a little bit more like, wasn't so abrupt, I probably would have been like, okay, cool, nice and short. Because I do like short songs, but it was just seemed like
totally.
I was expecting something else to happen, and it kind of let me down. But
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I love short tracks too. The shortest movement in my piano suite is 53 seconds long.
Yeah, my shortest track too. I got a 54-second track. Yeah, it's straight to the point. It's a nice little package like idea, and it's neat to sometimes just kind of like, hey, I got an idea, and just you throw it out really quick, and it is what it is. You don't need to like.
Yeah, I have nothing against the duration of it. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Nothing at all.
Good. That's good.
Pretty sure it works for what it is. So
right.
Yeah.
The purpose.
Really good. Good work. Nice.
All right. So I even see Miro jumped over to the Amino asking for Granddad. Granddad probably left us. But if we
Yeah,
did
it's
miss your
weird.
track, sorry.
I don't know. Did
We'll get
he mention something at the start of the
I
stream?
don't think maybe to Miro or maybe I don't know. Miro, did he say something? But regardless, I think
Looking
he's
for it
not
right
even
now.
here, so it's no big deal. We'll wait till next week
Yeah.
for his track. Yeah, I was looking for it. He got good music. Okay, so all right. Well, that was a pretty good stream, and as always, thanks everyone for sticking with us. Let me go ahead and just look at the Mino real quick. So next Friday we'll do another feedback stream. It's gonna be feedback stream number 11. You can submit your track and by looking for the featured post in the community, and there'll be a submission form there. There's a hip hop beat battle. We've already got a whole bunch of people already submitting. This one should be exciting because we're still a whole month, basically, or 3 weeks to submit still. So hip hop beat battle. There's some rules that go along with it. So check out for the featured post by Minty Mist in the community. We need a battle for Monday. So the team captains, I would like to see. I mean, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'd like to see Blaze team take on Ski Lions team. That'd be a pretty good matchup. I'm just throwing it out there. They have to both agree on it, but that's just an idea. Ski Lions in the chat right now on the Amino, so I'll mention it to him. So when you get something lined up for Monday, but Monday same time, 7 p.m. UTC time, there's going to be a producer battle. And I am working on the DJ mixtape number 3. Going to finish it up over the weekend.
Nice.
You can still submit a song if you want. I don't mind getting those last minute. I like to try to, it gives me more to work with on the mix, so it's like more flavor to add to it. So send me a mix, send me a track still if you haven't already. I've got quite a few good tracks for the mix. So I'll finish that, get that posted next week. All right, that's pretty much it.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Blake, for streaming today.
Of course.
Thanks, Radium, for being here and texting in your feedback. And thanks, everybody in the chat, for sticking around the whole time.
Yes.
It was always fun.
Thank you.
Like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff.
Yes.
Appreciate it. And I will see y'all in the community. Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.